Hi, peoples. I'm in the beautiful backyard of my father in Hartford, Wisconsin. I feel like I haven't filmed anything in a while, so I wanted to check in, say hello, bring you a few observations from the home front. I'm visiting my family in Wisconsin. So, I live in Europe. I live in Vienna. I've lived there for 5 years. Before I moved to Vienna to be with my girlfriend, I lived in a monastery for 13 years. So somehow I have managed to be out of mainstream American society for 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years. And being outside of mainstream American society, I find myself looking in on it with fresh new eyes. And having fresh new eyes is something that travel and meditation practice and Zen practice give you. And I look at my country of origin, America, and I can't help but think that this is the most individualistic nation on the planet. Like, it is 375 million individuals who are exactly the same. I remember once I was talking to a friend in Vienna, and he said, "We view all you Americans as cowboys. You're either an easy rider, Dennis Hopper, motorcycle riding cowboy, or you're a John Wayne, True Grit, riding into the city to shoot the bad guys cowboy, but all Americans are cowboys." It's like when I come home, I have parts of my family that are completely like liberal, progressive, and then I have parts of my family that are completely conservative, Republican, and then I have sort of everything in between. And I can see the same dynamic all around me. But when I see how tightly both sides cling to their opinions and believe in their ideas, it's patently obvious from looking at it from the outside that these are a bunch of individualists who can't think for themselves. So Americans are really, really good at expressing themselves uniquely, but not thinking for themselves. Americans are really good at self-expression, and they think that this means they cut an individualistic path through life. But in my observation, really there are only a few paths. You have two parties you can vote for. In Europe, you have many different parties you can vote for in each country, and then they form coalitions. In America, there's just two, and they're basically the same. They basically work for large corporations and large interest groups. And when it comes to really carving out a path for yourself, oftentimes what that means is just finding a way to make a lot of money so you can buy things, so you can define yourself a certain way and have a certain lifestyle. America's an insanely materialistic country. Like, I don't think we Americans have any idea how deep our superficiality runs, how deep our materialism runs. I mean, where I just go in, I was at a store in the middle of nowhere that was a converted barn. It was called like the Smiley Face Barn here in Wisconsin. Converted barn. It had a big smiley face on it. And you walk through the front doors of this barn that's converted to kind of like a slightly fashionable food store. Not a chain or anything, just some person decided they're going to do some shit, and here it is, the Smiley Face Barn store. Great grocery store. You have to walk through a little bit of like a hallway to come out into the main area where they sold most of the food. I'm going to swat a mosquito, excuse me. Frickin' bugs in Wisconsin. So you walk through this like little hallway entryway area, and there are a lot of different products in there, and I'm looking around at this. It was just like a 12-15 foot walk, and I turned around and I said to my girlfriend, son, there are more products in here than there are in the entire grocery store on my street in Vienna. America packs an insane amount of products into its stores, an insane amount of products into our homes, an insane amount of products into our refrigerators, an insane amount of products into our bodies. My dad was saying to me today, I don't understand how Americans are so fat. His words, I don't understand how we're so fat. I'm like, there's a lot of reasons for the obesity crisis, one of which is you eat a lot of food here, man. We eat so much food since we've been here that's really rich in calories, really rich in flavor, really rich in taste. So my point is, it's not an original one, that my observation, don't take this the wrong way, Americans, but really my observation is that we're getting fed hook, line, and sinker this idea that we're extremely individualistic people with a lot of free choice and a lot of options, but we don't. We have basically a few very similar options that we choose, and then they completely define us. So my dad is all about guns. He can't even imagine a world where people are not allowed to carry guns to defend themselves. He made this point to me today. He said, it's just so obvious to me. If you got a little 95-pound woman and she's being attacked by a 250-pound rapist with a firearm and a hard... she needs to defend herself. So you give her a gun, of course. Everybody needs to carry guns. And I didn't feel the need to tell him nobody has guns in Europe. Freaking almost absolutely nobody. It's a way safer continent. There's orders of magnitude less violence, for example, in Croatia, where my girlfriend is from, or Austria, where we live now, than in America, because there's just fewer guns. Fuck off, it's a fact. Then on the other hand, I'm talking to my dear young nephew, and he's telling me about the insane woke theatrics that take place in his Waldorf high school. And he says there's a group of students who are like the gender committee. And the gender committee decided that the bathrooms needed to be non-gendered bathrooms. So my nephew tells the story in a much better way than I do, but basically what wound up happening was that it's a fraction of a percentage of the school that feels strongly that the bathrooms should be non-gendered. Nonetheless, none of my nephew's peers really wanted to take a stand and make this the hill that they died on. So everybody wound up voting, okay, let's do this because this is Waldorf, of course, so they vote on everything, the students. So the students vote on, yes, we have to make this bathrooms non-gendered. So it's the funniest story on the planet. What wound up happening was there was no money to really support this effort. There was no real urge amongst the student population to do this non-gendered bathroom. They wound up trying to make the bathrooms safe because that was something they had to do, but instead of making them safe, they made them horrible. They looked like post-apocalyptic bathrooms. They had plywood up covering the stalls, and the urinals got smashed with sledgehammers. So there's broken urinals hanging off the walls. The stalls are basically walled in with big pieces of plywood that are drilled into the wall. Nobody's happy with the solution, but a few really intense gender ideologues decided they wanted to have gender-neutral bathrooms, and you better go along with these people or they'll get in your face. I'm not saying I disagree with these people, but my point is, whether it's my dad arguing for guns everywhere, or the gender ideologues arguing for you better have a bathroom where everybody can shit and piss in the same space, all aspects, and it's a country with no unifying, no shared purpose. a country that's sort of eating itself alive with individuality and individualism. And I look around, I go and visit my friend Nina last year in California, and I'm looking at the streets, and I see a homeless dude, and like, you don't see this in Vienna. You do not see a person there are so many social safety nets in Vienna at so many different levels of society and so many different sort of age brackets and age groups that you will never see a human being fall to the level that this guy I saw in Los Angeles fell to. He's laying on the street. It's like 95 degrees Fahrenheit. He's literally got no clothing on him. He is being fricasseed on the sidewalk. He's pitch black with dirt, with stink, with skin that's being sunburned, and he's just laying mouth open, drooling on the sidewalk, and people are just walking around him because he's the worst example of a pretty fucking common problem in California, right? You will not see that in Europe, at least not in Vienna. You will not see human beings being treated that way. Now, here's the deal. I am not singing the praises of Europe's more social politics, socialist politics, because I think that there are real problems with the way that Europeans do things. It's a more equal society for sure, and it has amazing benefits, but they take a huge chunk of your paycheck and arguably don't give you enough back for it. But one thing they give you back for it is not a human being lying on the sidewalk being baked in the sun, roasted like a chicken. My whole point is, don't take it in and swallow it like American ideology, like the conservatives and Republicans are correct and the woke people have gotten out of hand and I'm siding with this team. And on the other hand, the Trump people are satanic and the conservatives are totally wrong, and I need to just get lockstep with every piece of woke bullshit that comes my way. Americans are being like fed just a pack of lies, just a big fat fucking pack of lies, and it all comes from our obsession with individualism. Part of being, I think, a spiritual practitioner and a Zen practitioner in this climate is being able, sorry, mosquitoes are biting me, is being able to not take sides. And all kinds of people are going to send me emails, as always happens when I do this, and they're always on the left, I have to say, because maybe right-leaning people don't watch videos like this. I don't know. Actually, that's not true. There are some right-wing people that say, you want a dialogue? That's how they do it when they send me emails. Sorry, there's flies landing on me now. Don't buy into the culture wars. It's a system of control. And when you do your meditation practice, when you sit down on your cushion, or when you're walking through the streets doing your walking meditation, part of what I think it means to be a spiritual practitioner and someone who is trying to be awake is not getting pulled into the cultural theatrics and the political theatrics that get us worked up and fired up over issues. I mean, I think that a trans worker at Walmart has way more in common with another worker at Walmart or at Amazon who's being mistreated, probably than I have with some activist in California. You know, we have a lot more in common with each other than the narrative, as Russell Brand calls it, would have us believe. And again, I really feel that part of the spiritual path is learning to hold that middle way, no matter how strong the impulse is to pick a side, no matter how strong the impulse is to have your issue, but to pull back, to take a breath, to receive different arguments, to process them, to vote a certain way, but to walk a middle path through this environment where there are 1,000 cultural and political octopus tentacles with sticky suction cups reaching out, trying to grab us, pull us to the right and pull us to the left and convincing us in the process, trying to convince us that we're individuals and that we have so much control as individuals. Because I think that's one of the great big fat motherfucking lies that we get in America, is that we're so totally individualistic, and that all of our individual identities, and that all of our individual choices, and that all of our individual ideas and beliefs and identity choices, MAGA on the one hand, woke on the other hand, are totally and completely important. I think that we're being spoon-fed total and complete propaganda. It's late capitalism, neoliberalism, confused about where to go next, flirting with different brands of totalitarianism, whether it's a Viktor Orban-inspired American right or some kind of super woke, progressive, groupthink, identity politics obsessed, speak and think what we think you should speak and think or you're out left. It's all a bunch of BS. Hold your middle, hold your place like Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree, no matter how hard people come at you. And I think we'll have a better country and you'll have a better life. But I don't know. I'm just speaking to you as a Western European expat visiting Wisconsin for a few weeks. Maybe I'll have some more precise and concise observations when I get back to Europe. Thanks for hearing me out. Sorry it was such an extended, ungroovy rant, but I had a lot of coffee this morning.